For 2026 got off to an explosive start with more testimony on Police Minister on a leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu, a very forgetful but very human KZN Hawks head, Major General Sona, as well as more on the murder of Sindiso Makaka and movement from the Presidency on that 17 December interim report. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has unveiled the names of those who've been referred by the Commission for further investigation, and boy oh boy, it looks like heads are about to roll, but one can't help but wonder whether others are being protected in the process. Coming to you live from the Bridget Mabandla Justice Academy, I'm Ziyanda Ngcobo, and I've got the first installment of the wrap of proceedings here at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The assassination of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Makaka came into sharp focus on Monday. Witness E, who's a crime intelligence officer and has been undercover for 14 years, testifying about how crime intelligence slush funds were used to purchase the AK-47 and the getaway vehicle used to attack Makaka. Now, this corroborates the testimony of Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, who had actually given that particular evidence, but he also, Witness E, testified about how Senzo Mchunu managed to find him, and it's a very difficult thing to do.
I've been an undercover operative since from 2013. I am currently a handler in the crime intelligence, but at that time, I was deployed undercover. I was deployed undercover to do undercover projects. It was a registered project, but it was a project for cash in transit. In this project of a cash in transit, I recruited the leader of the gang. It was a group of 25 suspects. I recruited the leader of this gang, or of this group that is involved in cash in transit. This leader, who happened to be our informant, is the one who came with this information to us, because he was hired by the people in the Newzroom municipality. That's how I got to know this information. Okay. On top of that, this group of 25 suspects, I had to infiltrate the group. That's how I got to know these people. I've been an undercover operative since from 2013. I am currently a handler in the crime intelligence. But at that time, I was deployed undercover. I was deployed undercover to do undercover projects. It was a registered project, but it was a project for cash in transit. In this project of a cash in transit, I recruited the leader of the gang. It was a group of 25 suspects. I recruited the leader of this gang, or of this group that is involved in cash in transit. This leader, who happened to be our informant, is the one who came with this information to us, because he was hired by the people in the Newzroom municipality. That's how I got to know this information. Okay. On top of that, this group of 25 suspects, I had to infiltrate the group. That's how I got to know these people.
And the ability of Senzo Mchunu to be able to track down Witness E over the phone raises some serious security concerns and possible breaches, as Witness E is a star witness in the Sindiso Makaka trial.
My interactions with the minister were initiated by him in the late December 2024. On paragraph 5, on Saturday, 7 December 2024, I received a call from a cell phone number that I won't mention, I received this call on my cell phone that I won't mention as well. The phone number of the incoming call reflected on my phone in my Truecaller app. That is Mchunu home. When I answered the call, the person on the other end of the call said to me, "Do you know who you are talking to?" My response was that I have no idea who it was. Then the person responded by saying, "This is your commander, Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu." I was surprised to receive a call from the minister, but at the same time, I was shocked and also excited that I received a call from a minister of police on this number. Because of my because my cell phone number was highly restricted. I'm saying this because outside of a closed cycle in the law enforcement, only few people have got my number, and the other people who might have my number or who does have my number is the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence.
So not only was Senzo Mchunu able to get the contact details of witness E, but the minister wanted to know the names of those who could possibly be behind the attack on Sindiso Magaqa. In fact, witness E also adds that they were aware of the looming assassination against Magaqa 2 weeks before it took place.
From paragraph 6, you then deal with the conversation or the detail of the conversation you had with the minister on the 7th of December 2024. If you could then take it up from your paragraph 6. Thank you.
In paragraph 6, it's when the minister said to me, he heard a lot about me and that I have an information about the killing of Mr. Sindiso Magaqa and other ANC councillors in KZN. And he further said that to me. He heard that I have information about the SAPS crime intelligence officials who were involved in the planning and the killing of Mr. Sindiso Magaqa. I then asked the minister, where did he get that information? But in his response, he said that will be the topic for another day.
But it doesn't end there. So not only did Senzo Mchunu seemingly breach protocols, he also wanted witness E to wrongfully implicate Crime Intelligence Head Lieutenant General Dumsani Khumalo and former Police Minister Bheki Cele as being the masterminds behind the murder.
Ngibhale izinto eziwu 1, 2, 3, 4. Ngibhale izinto eziwu 5. Mengizokuthatha ekuqaleni ngibhale from igama isibongo address lezinto eziphezulu. Paragraph 1 ngabhala Hello. Yes.
Mala. Ubhalile uqedile manje noma kwaqeda?
Angakaqedi, ngithi bengifuna ukusilungisa, sengibhalile kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi ngiqedile, kodwa manje kufanele ngistype. Ngoba manje bengifuna ukuthi kodwa aqale uzwe ukuthi ngibhale kanjani.
Hayi, WhatsApp la kule ndoda la. Lo suqedile, singalo sikhuluma.
Sir asked me if Lieutenant General Khumalo was also involved in the planning and the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. And I explicitly informed the minister that General Khumalo was not involved. And when I say I explicitly explained or informed the minister, I even went further in such a way that I told him that at the time, because Sindiso Magaqa was killed or was shot in July 2017, General Khumalo was not part of crime intelligence at all. He was not even in KZN. And General Khumalo was not the division commander of crime intelligence. A person who was acting at that time, because we didn't have a permanent division commander, it was General Jacobs. And in KZN, the person who was a provincial commissioner, it was an acting provincial commissioner, which was General Langa. So General Khumalo was not involved at all when it comes to this plot and the killing of Magaqa.
And so you've just heard snippets there of a recording that was played at the commission where Senzo Mchunu was trying to coerce witness E to lie before this commission of inquiry. Let's bring in now to the conversation a friend and fellow crusader in the business of whistleblowing alongside Sindiso Magaqa. He's no stranger to this particular matter, and that's Thabiso Zulu. Mr. Zulu, a very good evening to you. It's almost common cause now that the crime intelligence slush funds were used to purchase that AK-47 and that getaway vehicle on that day in July 2017. But I wonder this evening whether or not there's something to be said about Senzo Mchunu's keen interest in the matter.
Good evening, my sister, and good evening to your viewers. Look, it's been a long journey, and it's a very draining one. I don't know what one can say, because I think our interest is not on what Minister Senzo Mchunu has done now. We are more interested on those who plotted. We are more interested on those who provided resources. We want justice. We are not interested in the palace politics of the armed generals and politicians that are fighting for survival for their own reasons. We are more interested in the justice of Senzo Magaqa. That's all, and we don't want to be diverted to other issues.
Perhaps the issue does become interesting. I mean, you speaking about the masterminds, and it's quite interesting that it would seem, judging from the testimony of witness E, that Senzo Mchunu believes that the people responsible, the masterminds, the puppets, the ones pulling the strings, are Lieutenant General Dumsani Khumalo as well as Bheki Cele. To your mind, are these the correct people, or is Minister Senzo Mchunu really trying to misdirect where the commission should look?
We don't want to sensationalize this thing. We reflected as a family. The family had a meeting that they invited me on. Our reflections, we are not taking this in a gullible way and in a short excitement and a naivety way. We've been aware of these allegations for some time. We even know other things that we haven't said in public. So whether Minister Mchunu asked a certain thing or someone else asked a certain thing somewhere, we are really not interested in what they asked. We are more interested in what we know. What we know is that the AK-47 came from crime intelligence. The car came from crime intelligence. We are aware that there are crime intelligence agents, some of them who are former apartheid junta agents, who were involved in assassinating our liberation heroes in the past. And they got amnesty in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and they are now being involved in killing current people that are fighting against corruption. So that's all we're interested in. Whether Mchunu asked a certain thing, or whether Mchunu drank a tea, or whether Mchunu wrote a letter and he said immediately, or he didn't say that will not bring justice to us. So we're more interested, we're very focused in this, and we don't want to be diverted to what people are fighting, which is the peripheral politics that have got nothing to do with Senzo Magaqa. We want to focus, and we're not going to be diverted. We want to focus on making sure that those who were involved in planning, plotting, providing resources, killing Senzo Magaqa are brought to justice. Whether someone at a tavern asked a certain thing, whether someone, when he was dancing somewhere, danced and used the name of Senzo Magaqa, we're not interested in that. We don't want to be diverted.
And so according to your knowledge, because it seems that you and the family are very clear about who is responsible for this, is what witness E had to say, does it hold water insofar as the testimony over and above, of course, knowing that the AK-47 and the getaway vehicle were from crime intelligence, but also, do you know who witness E is insofar as understanding how things unfolded?
He said nothing new. Everything that he said, it's something that we've been aware of. It's just that there's been no public confirmation. Now we are having a confirmation from the state itself or from the state agents, but it's something that we have known. We have known that the AK-47 was together with the car, was procured through a slush fund of crime intelligence. We have known that crime intelligence agents were involved. We have known that one of the people that was involved there was an informant. We have known that Senzo was killed, and that's what we've been saying all these years, was killed for fighting corruption. Even when people wanted to divert us to try and come up with other conspiracy theories, we removed. I mean, we refused to be diverted. We're a very focused family. We're very focused friends. We stick to what we know. So that's what we know. We also know that there were politicians that were involved. We are all that we're interested in. We're calling for those people to be brought into justice. And to you and your viewers, you'll appreciate the fact that we've been fighting this for the past 8-9 years. On the 5th of February 2020, I wrote a letter to both General Libea and Advocate Shamila Batoy. They never answered that letter. The first time Advocate Libea answered my letter was on the 18th of August 2025, after I'd written to him every month, every year, every month, every year, reminding him about the Newzroom Afrika Memorial Hall of Shame matter, which took the life of Senzo Mchunu and many others. Advocate Shamila Batoy only answered me on the 26th of May 2025, right? And on the my other letter was on the 26th. She answered after I had written again on the 26th of May 2025. And in that letter, I even pleaded with them to tell them that the mother of Senzo is frail. I even pleaded with them to remind them that I've been writing to them every year since year 2020. And I even said to them they would be leaving their position. It would be better if they were to leave their positions after having solved what we have been pleading with them all these years. Today, Advocate Shamila Batoy left her job. General Libea is retired, and we have never received justice in as far as what led to the killing of Senzo Mchunu, Khaya Thobela, Mduduzi Chibas, and Jabu Msia, who was shot and survived, and others were unlucky not to survive.
So it sounds to me as though you feel as if the murder and memory of Senzo Mchunu are being weaponized for political ends. Do you think then that this commission of inquiry is going to move the needle in getting any closer to exposing the truth behind those you believe, including politicians, are responsible for his demise?
That commission is very thorough. That commission is very probing. We put all our faith in it. In other fora, we're not interested in them. I think they are a site of gossip. But that commission is very thorough. So we believe that the truth will come out. The other thing that needs to be clarified is that with Witness E, appreciating what he's saying, confirming what we already knew, confirming what others have already said. But I think he's also playing into the gallery. He's trying to involve the name of Senzo to fight his own battles. He knew that Senzo was going to be killed. That is what he's saying. He never made a plan to make sure that Senzo is being alerted. He never even told General Langa, who was acting provincial commissioner at the time. He never even went to Advocate Chika before the killing. He never even tried to talk to not Advocate Chika, General Chika. He never even tried to go to General Jacobs, who was heading crime intelligence at the time, to go and alert them. He's a crime intelligence officer. He could have tried numerous other ways. He could have tipped Senzo through an SMS in an unknown number and say to him, listen, be careful, this is what is going to happen, without exposing himself, without unmasking his cover. So he's trying to act like a hero. And there are things that I know that he's lying. For an example, let me demonstrate. In his affidavit of the 21st of January 2019, that's his affidavit. 2 years down the line, Senzo gets shot in 2017. He only deposes an affidavit in 2019. All these other years, he's keeping quiet. Up until he had a fallout with his colleagues, his handlers in the CI, and after he had a fallout with his fellow the people that he had been deployed to as an undercover to work with them, then he decides to blow a whistle and to say, look, I know this, that, and that, right? But he's lying. Let us demonstrate that he perjured himself. One, in his affidavit of the 21st of January 2019, he says he didn't know the identity of the person who was going to be killed. He was only told that there is someone who's going to be killed at Newzroom. When he testifies at the Madlanga, he knew the identity of the person, right? So he changes his story as he goes. The last thing that is important that I clarify it without a fear of contradicting myself in the future. He claims that his number was within very limited number of people. That's not true. He has been exposing himself wherever and whenever he gets an opportunity. There are numerous people that are having his number, and it's not them who called him. It's him who called them. I am even aware that he even asked for my own number, and people refused to give him my number. I'm even aware that he was continuing to operate, even leaking intelligence information to certain people, and changing himself to act like an information peddler of some sort, right? So he's not fully cleaning the whole thing. He's getting an opportunity, wants promotion, then he's trying to use the name of Senzo Mchunu. People must stop using the name of Senzo Mchunu for their own benefit. All that we want is justice. We're not interested in some side shows. All that we want is justice for Senzo Mchunu.
Yes. Thabiso Zulu, a friend and a fellow whistleblower of Senzo Mchunu. Thank you for your time this evening. Well, it seems like the testimony of witness E not sitting too well with Zulu and the family of Senzo Mchunu. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll reflect on the explosive, sometimes jarring and perhaps mostly upsetting testimony by KZN Hawks head Lesetja Sona. Selective amnesia and not wanting to assist the commission and on the lips of many South Africans, but of course those WhatsApp messages between Sona and alleged criminal underworld kingpin Vusumuzi Matlala being the subjects rather of vociferous debate. You don't want to miss that conversation. Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned to Channel 405 as we wrap up what's taken place at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. So, while KZN Hawks head Lesetja Sona was in the hot seat for 3 days, one of the days the presidency released a statement implicating him as one of those who've been referred for further investigation. Now, on the stand, Sona told the commissioners of how he was a human being and how he sometimes makes mistakes every time things got tense with the line of questioning. This got so heated that at some stage Sona was accused of lying under oath. Here's Junior Kumalo with that section of the testimony.
Heated exchanges were the order of the day as KZN Hawks head Lesetja Sona frustrated Madlanga Inquiry commissioners. He was accused of being particularly vague when questioned about why he didn't have a problem associating with alleged criminal cartel boss Vusumuzi Matlala despite his position. Sona claimed to have been oblivious to media reports dating as far back as 2023, saying he disassociated from Matlala after reading a more recent News 2024 expose.
I said gradually I moved away, commissioners. That is my response. I think I said it over 10 times today in this room.
But Commission chairperson Mbuyiseli Madlanga accused Sona of being evasive, citing text message conversations between him and Matlala.
I want to suggest to you, General, that you are not able to respond to both these questions because what you are telling us is untrue. Commissioners, I believe I said I want to come and tell the truth, nothing else the truth. But that is the response I'm giving, Commissioners, in terms of the truth of my recollection.
Madlanga rubbished Senona's explanation on why he doesn't deem it a conflict of interest for him as a senior law enforcement official to be advising Matlala to pursue legal action against police for the termination of the 360 million rand health services contract. Sona claims he was absolved as Matlala already sought legal advice on the matter.
I'm sorry for this language, it may sound harsh. It's totally nonsensical to rely on what he said with regard to what you yourself had said before. Do you accept that? No, Commissioner.
Co-Commissioner Sandile Khumalo also raised concerns over Senona's conduct after he allegedly shared SAPS documents with Matlala containing sensitive personal information of Hawks officials. The Commission also heard details of how Matlala furnished Sona with documents containing identification numbers said to be those of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Sona argued that while he received the documents while at a physical meeting with Matlala last year, he did not open such document and would have reported it to the police had he known. Madlanga wasn't convinced.
You're saying that because this is staring you in the eye and you cannot say, I did read this and did nothing about it. That's why you are saying what we are saying. What do you say to that? Commissioner, I didn't read it and he never told me he's sending me this document. I saw the documents came in, I never read it.
Sona further claimed that text messages between him and Matlala had been tampered with.
So as you can hear there, the commissioners took aim at Sonona's seeming selective amnesia when it came to matters related to Vusmuzi Kat Matlala and the cases implicating him. Sonona says he knew nothing about the attempted murder charges that were laid by Matlala's socialite ex-girlfriend Tebogo Tobejane, and somehow the KZN Hawks head was unaware of all the media reports that implicated Matlala in the Tembisa hospital scandal, which saw the murder of whistleblower Babita Diokoron, who had implicated Matlala at the center of that scandal.
In addition to the difficulty, but I'm sure Ms. Hassim will probably come to it and with more specificity, a theme that runs through your statement is that when it comes to anything concerning Mr. Matlala, even when you look at the texts, you either do not recall or you do not know, and if it's a text staring you in your face, you will say, yes, I do read it now, but I just do not quite recall what this was all about. That's a theme that runs through your testimony. That includes even the events at the apartment in Durban. You were conveniently going up and down to refill your glass, and I do not know how quickly you gulp up your drink, that for the most part you would not have been with the people that were discussing. So quite conveniently, the simple point I'm making, quite conveniently, the issues that relate to Mr. Matlala and which appear to implicate him to some wrongdoing, conveniently you distance yourself, you don't remember. Don't you find that strange? Do you not realize that we will find that strange?
But despite Sona not remembering so many things, he does somehow remember that around the 5th of March that he became of an investigation into Matlala by his own organization, that being the Hawks. But still, Sona insists that since that particular time, he did try to gradually withdraw from his relationship with Vusumuzi Kat Matlala, whom he referred to as a younger brother.
And you now know that your own organization is investigating him?
I now know, yes.
No, you knew it on the 5th of March.
Yes.
Because it said so in this article.
This is from the news clip, but I was not privy to the content of the investigation. It is this clip, I became aware here, but it is not what you call within my own space, my own organization, yes.
I'm sorry, what do you mean it's not within your own space? When you saw this article and you see you are the provincial head of the Hawks in KZN, your friend is being investigated by the Hawks, what did you do about that?
Hence I said I became wary, and then I started to withdraw gradually my relationship with the commissioners.
Did you make any further inquiries within the Hawks about these allegations against Mr. Matlala?
I didn't do any further inquiries with that.
Why not?
It's not a common practice. Unless you are privy to the investigation, as I indicated earlier, that when we sit in the National Project Committee forum, they discuss certain things, and this specific project was never discussed there. And then normally, even if I have certain things that I'm dealing with, that the investigation is within that province, we don't do that. We allow them to continue with the investigations.
And by the time Sona concluded his testimony, it became abundantly clear that his ability to uphold his oath of office as the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal was shambolic, and he could not even justify some of the things that he did.
My point is, you are a police officer. You head Hawks, which is a specialized unit within the police, and which deals with serious crimes. You become aware that a person that you consider to be your brother, your younger brother, you are Uputi, the bigger brother. So now you become aware that he is involved in criminality. And on the 5th of March, you decide that you want to cut communication with him, but you do this gradually. You are not an ordinary person. You actually had Hawks in KZN. Why did you not terminate communication immediately?
So things got so tense when evidence was being led about the WhatsApp exchanges between Sona and Matlala that Sona's lawyers actually tried then to delay to a certain extent the testimonies by actually making arguments that they had not been given enough time to go through some of the evidence that was being led, something that was also, there was pushback quite harshly from the Commission and the evidence leaders.
But before that, there was not a hint whatsoever that you were not able meaningfully and effectively to participate in the proceedings. Did I get a wrong sense, Ms. Mafisa?
Chairperson, I will gently remind the chairperson and the commissioners that regarding one of the occasions relates to the video that was played a couple of days ago of the alleged internal meeting of the SAPS. I stated, I rather objected that we did not get enough time to actually watch that video and to further consult with the client. And I did state that it unfairly prejudices Major General Sona and also the legal team because we were unable to watch that evidence and to even put it, or rather address it within our statement. And I do think that it was unfair. And just regarding some of the documents that we have received, whether it's when we arrive here at the Commission, I definitely do second what Major General Sona is saying. There were documents that I personally received, I think it was on Tuesday, with my attorney as well. And I was quite upset by that, Chairperson, because I feel as though as a legal representative, my attorneys as well, we were not given sufficient time to read through these documents.
And so reaction to Senona's testimony coming in thick and fast from all quarters, including political parties such as the EFF, who have already called for Senona to be arrested. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to look at the political side of things at this Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, with the President releasing that statement. A new special investigations task team is on the horizon. But what is to be said about the President's ally, Senzo Mchunu, not forming part of the list of those who still need to be investigated further? You'll have that conversation with Dirk Kotza after this. Thanks for staying with us. As I mentioned before the break, a new special investigations task team is on the horizon, and this is after President Cyril Ramaphosa released a statement on Thursday, firstly welcoming the interim reports of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, but directing the acting police minister, Feroz Kachalia, and National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola, to constitute this team to look into the names of those who have been implicated in that particular report. And so this emanates from the recommendations, as I've mentioned, in that 17 December report. It makes referrals for immediate criminal investigations and prosecution of several senior SAPS and Ekurhuleni officials. They include the person we've just spoken about, KZN Hawks boss Lisicha Senona, Gauteng organized crime boss Richard Shibiri, acting Sedibeng District Commissioner Mbangwa Nkwashu, and SAPS Finance Division Manager Rachel Majing. It also calls for Fani Nkosi, who's a detective that works in the office of suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shedrick Sibia, to be investigated, among others. Suspended EMPD Deputy Police Chief Julius Mkwanazi is another individual who has been named. But the two names that were visibly absent from the list shared by the Presidency are those of Shedrick Sibia and Minister on a leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu. We spoke to the Presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, about this.
The President has been seriously concerned about what's been coming out of the Madlanga Commission, particularly with respect to how it has eroded levels of confidence that society has on law enforcement agencies. It was therefore important for the President to direct immediate action in line with the terms of reference that established the Commission, for that immediate action to follow on the interim report and have action taken against the individuals that are implicated. Well, with respect to Minister Mchunu, the President wants Minister Mchunu to go back to the Commission and provide more answers on allegations against him. And the President wants the Minister to have that opportunity. That will be a political process. It's very different from officials whose employment contracts and terms are regulated in a different way, where their respective employers or law enforcement agencies in this regard can act in a prescribed manner, following through the recommendations of the Commission. So it's two separate processes, if you like, following on the interim report. And the President will then decide, once the Minister has delivered all his evidence and has responded to all the allegations against him, as to what the next steps will be.
And so it also seems, as I mentioned earlier, that the extension of the tenure of the Commission is on the horizon. And this is according to the Madlanga Commission spokesperson, Jeremy Michaels.
The 17th of March, which is the current deadline for the final report on the amended proclamation as it stands, there will be engagement between Justice Madlanga and the President regarding the time that the Commission requires, because as we have said in recent days, since the Commission resumed its hearings for 2026, there's a very long list of witnesses who need to appear before the Commission.
So let's talk to political analyst Dirk Kotze about the possible considerations behind why President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is very empowered to do this, is to move on his police minister on leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu. Very good evening to you, Prof. I mean, the simple question is, has the president not heard enough?
I think we think so. And there was so much evidence that have been presented over the months now, last year and now, even now that it comes through. We've seen him here before the Commission also, as well as in Parliament. So there's abundance of evidence that are implicating him. The same actually applies to his predecessor, General Beketele, as a former minister. He is also, his name is not mentioned anywhere.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he's not listed here is because he's not a member of the police service. And the list, the 6 are specifically that task team that has been established is an internal police one. So it doesn't affect people outside. I'm not sure even if it will include the Ekurhuleni Metro Police. But when it comes to the politicians, that's squarely in the hands of President Ramaphosa. So I think he said he wants to wait until the end of the whole process, because what they also indicated right in the beginning is that the presidency is only going to respond to all of this right at the end. So they don't provide any form of inputs or comments as it goes along. But I think from where I am and where many other people are, that it becomes a bit of a question, you know, what else does he need?
Yeah.
And the real point is that he does not need reasons in order to remove a minister.
In particular, if you came on the ticket of anti-corruption, I mean, I'm not casting aspersions on the minister who's on a leave of absence, but surely even breaching protocols by actually reaching out to someone like Witness E, that also creates a couple of issues. Even calling a commander of a police station, you know, in Mandeni and subverting and skipping the provincial police commissioner, is it worrying enough for the president? I don't know.
You know, all the reasons do exist for him to be dismissed based on what he did and his behavior. When it comes to this type of situation, it depends on whether the president still trusts him or not. That's the test.
Yep.
You know? And I can't see how Minister Mchunu can ever go back to be in the cabinet again. You know, for me, his political career has come to an end. It's now a question of time of when it will happen, not if it's going to happen. But I think from a public point of view, public opinion, public perspective, trust in this process, it should have been happened sooner already.
And I want to then also look at this special investigations task team. Is there something to be said about having a task team being set up while a commission is still hearing matters? So is this really going to fast-track the process? How unprecedented is it?
Well, it's unprecedented because, in a sense, the police investigate themselves. You know? And I'm not sure whether this is going to produce the results that the president is looking for. As well as that of the Commission, because I think the Commission is saying they are now, in a sense, out of the system. We are not going to call them back. It's now in the hands of the police to finalize this. Now, that is in line with the terms of reference. They can do that. But what else is really going to be added in terms of value to what has already been done? You know, they've provided their initial testimony or to the Commission, as well as to the ad hoc committee of Parliament, many of them. So I think what they're trying to do is to say, well, we've actually parked them. We don't need to come back, and we don't need maybe for them to come back in the third phase of this commission, which might speed up the process. But whether it will add new evidence, new sort of element information to work with, I doubt that. But my main point is that it is colleagues who are going to investigate their own colleagues, and I'm not sure whether this is really going to produce the results, except if they are going to appoint persons who are not police persons, but completely from outside.
And speaking of that, I mean, parties like Rise and Mzansi have released a statement of how even this task team should be constituted. I mean, we could have a separate conversation about this task team reporting directly to the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola, but they've raised issues like, if I just go through what they've said, that all task team members must have security clearance. None of them should have testified either before this commission or the ad hoc committee. It must be adequately resourced. And also an interesting point being raised by them that the National Prosecuting Authority also must ready itself to receive the task team's dockets by establishing a similar special structure that will meticulously and speedily process cases. I think those are some salient points, especially the ones about those who've testified here, which means Fani Masemola cannot be the one that this task team reports to.
Yes, and I think what is the interesting point is that IDAC, in a sense, is the one that's possibly best placed for this. They were created during the Zondo Commission to play this role in between the investigative role of the police and the prosecuting role of the NPA. Whether they will become involved in it, we will have to see. But I was surprised by this, to be honest, that President Ramaphosa proposed or suggested or instructed that this must be done, because I'm not sure, what actually is the purpose of it. What more can it add on? Because there is so much evidence that was now already known, and that will I guess, in the end, still come in the final report from the Commission again. If it is that they want to speed up possible prosecutions, yes, that is one possibility.
Professor Ngcobo, we thank you for your time. A political analyst there from UNISA, just reflecting on what developed while testimony was continuing here at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. We're going to take another short break, but when we come back, we'll also reflect on who was meant to have testified on the stand on Friday, but some issues around possible prejudice and evidence and documentation not being exchanged on time also coming into sharp focus once again. Do stay with us. You're still watching a wrap of the week that was at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. On Friday, a new witness was expected to take a stand, but before this could happen, two applications were brought before the Commission. The first was a plea to postpone the proceedings on the exchange of relevant documentation and the issues around the witness being given enough time to respond to the issues. The second application was to have this particular witness testify in camera. Now, the lawyers expressed unhappiness about their client being amongst those being referred for further investigation, as outlined in President Cyril Ramaphosa's statement on Thursday.
I don't know to what extent you have engaged with the terms of reference of this commission. I will tell you now that the commission actually does have powers to do that. You are not criticizing the president, you are criticizing the commission. Of course, I will be the first to admit and accept that we are not beyond reproach. If we must be criticized, I will welcome that. Freedom of expression, the Constitution itself. I have been a justice of the Constitution, of the Constitutional Court, I'm sorry. So I understand you have the right to criticize whoever, but the point of substance is, on my reading of the terms of reference, we are perfectly entitled to do what we did. That referral was made by us, not by the president. So unless you first engage with the terms of reference and tell me why we are not entitled to do what we did in respect of that witness, I think you are going beyond the realms of what you are entitled to traverse.
But during the conversation between the evidence leaders and the legal team for this particular witness, there was mention of a Sergeant Nkosi and CCTV footage that was brought by Crime Intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo of Nkosi leaving a house with a bag. Now, the only person mentioned in this fashion is Sergeant Fani Nkosi, who was implicated by Khumalo and Witness C late last year. Khumalo brought evidence of how Nkosi was at Katiso KT Molefe's home on the 27th of November 2024, just days before the takedown operation at his Sandhurst home on the 6th of December. Witness C also testified that Nkosi not only tipped off Vusimuzi Kat Matlala of his impending arrest, but also had the bank card that belonged to Matlala. Now, this was apparently to facilitate payments to Nkosi's boss in the crime detection unit, that being Shedrick Sibia, who allegedly facilitated Matlala's securing of the 360 million rand Medicare tender. But after an adjournment to hear arguments from both legal teams to deliberate on how the testimony of Nkosi should be undertaken, there was an agreement that this will be done partially in camera.
The witness subpoenaed to appear on 30 January 2026 has applied for his testimony to be presented partially in camera. That is, his image and name not appear publicly. The application is supported by the evidence leaders. Having heard the nature of the evidence involved and the persons to whom this evidence relates, the Commission is satisfied that the physical safety of the witness may be put at risk if his image and name are placed in the public domain during his testimony. The Commission accordingly orders that the testimony of the witness will be presented without mention of his name and publication of his image. We so order.
And that's a wrap from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College here in the capital city of the country. We can expect more scintillating testimony here at this Commission of Inquiry. But for now, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching.